So the EU Commission is making a mandatory age verification app that already got hacked within 2 minutes from the security researcher named Paul Moore. Well, they've actually just been hacked again, and it just goes to show that we cannot trust them with our information. So when Paul did his initial hack, and again, he didn't do it for malicious reasons, he was trying to demonstrate how insecure the app is. He said that during the setup, the app asks you for a PIN. After entry, the app encrypts it and saves it, but it shouldn't be encrypted at all, and it's not cryptographically tied to the vault, which contains the identity data. So an attacker can simply remove the PIN, ENC, PIN IV values from the shared press file and restart the app. After choosing a different PIN, the app presents credentials created under the old profile and lets the attacker present them as valid. He also pointed out other issues as well, and he was just going ahead and showing the fact that this app is not secure at all. So I actually did see a lot of people surprisingly defending this whole age verification thing and coping for the app makers, saying, oh, this is a prototype. This is exactly what they wanted. The EU actually wanted people to find issues with their app because it's a prototype and they want people to go ahead and find the bugs for it. Well, that doesn't make sense. We mentioned this in our last video talking about this, but yeah, Paul was actually quoting the president of the EU Commission and showing that she actually said, and I quote, "The European age verification app is technically ready. It respects the highest privacy standards in the world. It's open source so anyone can check the code." So she's literally saying that the prototype that they have and the one that they're presenting is technically ready. It respects the highest privacy standards. So why are people trying to defend it and act like this whole breach that has been found in it isn't that big of a deal? With their logic, anyone can just make a prototype as crappy as they want, and if someone finds something in it, they're like, "Ha, we told you it was just a prototype. We wanted you to find a flaw in it." No, when it comes to storing biometric data, ID verification information, birth certificates, and all that stuff, it should be the most secure stuff possible. So Paul was literally saying, "I'm genuinely stunned by how many people push back on the EU age verification issues with, quote, 'It's a demo, it's not a production app, don't you understand?' When the president of the EC publicly states it's, quote, 'technically ready, reaches the highest standard of privacy, and go check the code,' it shouldn't come as a surprise when someone does exactly that. There's a growing number of people screaming, 'It's protected by Android, this is a non-issue.' I don't know about you, but I'd rather have a few layers of substantial security to protect my biometric data than rely on a third-party layer which may fail or have bugs/flaws of its own. This app was supposed to set up a standard, not fall back to one." Totally agree with what he said. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't want to give the biometric data over at all, but obviously the EU Commission is making these horrible laws that they just have to follow. So if they're going to at least force everybody to hand over biometric data, they could, I don't know, make their app actually safe and not be able to be hacked in 2 minutes. So yeah, Paul actually hacked the app again and exploited some different issues. He said bypassing the EU app part 2, this time it's this, whatever this value is over here, which won't run on rooted devices and has encrypted shared preferences. If we ignore the fact that they've used a 6-year-old deprecated library, they haven't actually solved the problem at all. An attacker can just as easily delete ciphertext as plain text. Ironically, they've tried to solve a problem they don't truly understand, much like the concept itself. So let's go ahead and look at the hack itself and see what Paul discovered.
This is a test on the EU age verification app, the very latest version published, just to show you, 2026-04-2. Let's open the app. On the screen behind me, I'm just enrolling a new user. So let's hit authorize, scan the QR code, add credential 40162. Okay, so that's one added, 30 uses left. So let's just make sure it works. Hit scan, go to verify, hit share, and we'll go 000012. Okay, site has logged in behind me, so let's click close, and that should drop to 29. So if we now go back into Total Commander, you can now see we've got a UD wallet unencrypted.xml, and very similar layout to the previous version, but all the values are encrypted. But it doesn't actually make any difference. So let's scroll across to the right hand side, and again, let's delete the 2 lines that we think are pinenc and piniv. There we go. Hit save, close, and reopen. And we're back on the enrollment screen. I think you can tell what's coming. Hit next. Let's have a different pin, 111112. Confirm, skip. Again, one item missing, so the vault is loaded in the background. Close the app. Open again. 111112. And there you go. There's the old credential. So let's just hit refresh, scan, and the site's logged in behind me. So not only have they included shared encrypted preference.
So yeah, once again, Paul was able to easily bypass the age verification app systems, and it just goes to show how little time they actually spent in making sure that this is secure. And like Paul pointed out, a lot of people who are trying to cope and say like, oh, this age verification app was meant to be broken and stuff. Well, that's not what the president of the EU Commission seems to think, so I think that you're wrong on that one. And so because of Paul's hack, or at least his previous one, they actually did release a little bit of an update to the age verification app. So Paul actually released an official response to this. Once again, shout out to Paul_reviews for all this research. But he basically said the EU Commission has released an update to patch out the issues I raised last week. Honestly, I don't know if I should laugh or cry. Let's review each one. So one is on-device data, database and setting encrypted at rest with keys protected by the device's hardware-backed key store. Sounds great until you look closer. They introduced Android Security Crypto, deprecated in 2025. Also, Android Security Crypto encrypted shared preferences, deprecated in 2025. Finally, Android Security Crypto master keys, which were deprecated in 2020. 3 deprecated dependencies introduced falling criticism over weak security. These weren't left over and missed during an update. They've added them now to, quote, harden security. Remember, this isn't an isolated app. It's intended to lay the foundation for many production applications, all using deprecated security libraries from the outset. Worse, they already corrected using key store controller on their codebase. The correct answer already existed and they still got it wrong. Runtime, the app checks device integrity on startup and refuses to run on rooted or jailbroken devices. Production deployment should complement it with stronger device attestation mechanisms appropriate to their infrastructure and compliance requirements. They check for SU, check package manager for root apps, run which SU, and check if it's a custom ROM. These are the paths over here. Great. In 2015, these are all trivially bypassed in 2026. So they are using super outdated technology here. Passport onboarding, more stable scanning. The passport photo is stored privately and deleted as soon as it's no longer needed. They're still not encrypted, so I'm not sure what privately means, but they are deleted correctly now. PIN, stricter rules block easy to guess pins. Pins are salted and hashed, never stored in plain form. They salt correctly a true CSPRNG, then use this, which is outdated and only recommended where FIPS compliance is required, which doesn't apply here. To make matters worse, they use 210,000 iterations. For those of an NSTY disposition, you're likely already shaking your head. 210,000 seems oddly specific. It is. It is the OWASP minimum for this, not this, right number, wrong algorithm. In reality, OWASP recommended 600,000 iterations as a minimum in 2023. Worse still, 600,000 is the baseline minimum for passwords, not pins with 1 million permutations. You could use 1B iterations. You're not measurably increasing security when there are so few attempts required to break it. At the very least, use a modern hash with reasonable brute force resistance against a 2026 threat model. All this cited as a, quote, first hardening step. Again, utter security theater. None of this negates my fundamental point. This isn't fixable through code. It's fundamentally ill-conceived and poorly implemented. And somebody pointed out, the top liked reply, deprecated dependencies are a clear sign of vibe coding, meaning the EU Commission is likely using AI to code this awful app. But I don't think that's really surprising anybody. The point is that Paul has done some great research in showing how awful this app is, how completely easy it is to just go ahead and bypass it, and the fact that this app shouldn't exist to begin with. We should not be forced to provide ID age verification to do things on the internet or to just exist as citizens, but the EU Commission seems to disagree with that one. Not only are they forcing everybody to do age verification through their awful app, but they have that awful app with terrible security to begin with. So it just goes to show that this is just all about mass surveillance and control. Shout out to Paul for all the work that he's done. So yeah, let me know what your guys' thoughts are on the situation in the comments. The EU Commission's age verification app got hacked again. Please leave a like in the video if you enjoyed it and subscribe for more. See ya.